One of the things that grew up in our industry is something known as home automation, and particularly growing from what had been a basic distributed audio. And there's a lot of misunderstandings about automation itself. The only way to encapsulate it well is to understand that these systems are constantly evolving. There are software upgrades which create their own sort of havoc dealing with compatibility between products. You also, with some of these advances, result in having to replace the very control systems you had been using because they become outdated like a computer. And that's the best way of understanding what these home automation systems are. And they are dependent upon good networking and a whole host of things. And, recently after we did an upgrade here, our system that we used to use in the store essentially became neutered and useless. And for me, it was kind of the last straw because they're not a final purchase. They're something that has to be tended to all the time. And in many cases, the problems that would erupt really have nothing to do with what we enjoy the best, which is making people happy by selling music systems or home theater systems. Instead, we would get calls about lights not working in this room because of this phone, and they recently got a software upgrade to their phone. It doesn't matter whether it's Android or Apple. And so we'd have to spend our time worrying about a light switch or maybe a TV set might not turn on right. And there are so many events that would occur. If they lost power, some of these products simply turn off and they don't communicate at all with whatever controller system is working. I recently spoke with one of our manufacturers about this problem. And in their case, in their experience in Florida, homeowners who have systems like Crestron, which are very complex, they're beautiful, but complex. When homeowners are selling their homes, they're actually having to give the buyer a $30,000 or $40,000 discount just to buy the home because now they're inheriting something that is really costly to support and maintain. They're not a final purchase. We had 5 years of just pure misery. I'm sure there's some companies out there that can do very well with the automation, but you really need to understand that these systems are not a final purchase. They're going to require support. We know of one local person who does it with Control4 that they want to make sure so much that the customer and nobody else even touches the system, that it's actually in a locked cabinet so that the homeowner or anybody else can't get into it but for the people who installed it. I look at that and saying, well, gee, if you have a fire in that cabinet, you're kind of fixed because you can't get into it to deal with it. But I mean, these things are not foolproof, and you really need to go think about these things with eyes wide open as opposed to the wonderful glory of how simpler your life is going to be. Well, I'll tell you what, in my experience, it doesn't.